G'day, Geoff Lewis here from Seriously Series. Damon, Mike and I have recently completed a pretty epic adventure and we're heading back to civilization. But we thought we'd share with you the Perentie that we've taken on this trip as a support vehicle and just share with you some of the modifications that have actually been done to the vehicle courtesy of Goldfields Off Road. So if you want to find out a few tips and tricks and a few bits of inspiration for your own Land Rover Perentie, then you know what to do. Stay tuned. Rightio, so what we're going to do is just a walk around the vehicle. We're just going to keep it pretty brief, pretty simple, just to provide you with a bit of information, a few things that you yourself can go away and research in greater detail if it's something of interest to you. So we've talked about this vehicle before on the channel in our unique 4x4 series, which if you haven't watched it, you don't know what you're missing out on. Get onto it, great playlist. And basically it's a 1989 ex-Australian Army Land Rover Perentie 110 FFR. And that is a mouthful, and I'll explain exactly what's going on there. So this vehicle originally was a general service vehicle. It was then fitted out as a radio vehicle, and that will become more evident later on in the video. Basically, the front of the vehicle is pretty standard for a Land Rover Perentie. It's got the early version of the bull bar on it. This was purchased 6 years ago, so the helicopter points haven't had to be cut off for it to be road compliant. We've got a Bush Ranger light bar here, which fits in quite nicely with the aesthetics. We've got bolt-on or clip-on mounts here too. One of the things I like about that, and what Goldfields Off Road did, was to try and not meddle with the vehicle too much. Everything can be returned back to its original state later on down the track. So Goldfields Off Road, Ben, Shannon, Johar and the team there came on board as a sponsor for Dust and Dreams. And basically I had a chat to them along with Damon at great length as to what we actually wanted to do with the vehicle and how we wanted to set the vehicle up. And the idea was that this would be the support vehicle for the Series 3 and would also charge all the camera gear that we require to run a fully fledged production. Anyway, let's pop the bonnet and we'll have a quick look in there at the mighty Isuzu, and I'll just talk a little bit more about the electricity to this actual vehicle. Okay, so one of the party tricks with the Land Rover Perentie is it doesn't have a Rover engine in it. It's got the 3.9 litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder Isuzu diesel. Now, as I said, this vehicle was fitted out to be a comms vehicle. So we've got a 12 volt alternator and we've also got a 24 volt generator. So basically the vehicle itself has two different circuits. It has the 12 volt circuit and a 12 volt battery inboard to run the motor and the accessories, whereas the 24 volt system runs as a completely independent circuit, and this is actually designed to charge the auxiliary batteries that are required or were required to run the radios in the back of the vehicle, which we have now adapted and still use the 24 volt generator to actually charge all our camera gear. So that's pretty much it. Not a lot's been done to the motor itself. It's a good little runner. Just given it a good service, good overhaul, double checked everything, and it's running sweet. We really haven't had any issues at all with it. It's a fantastic engine. I'd thoroughly recommend, getting one, and if you can get a Land Rover of any kind with an Isuzu engine, jump on it. Anyway, we'll move to the further down the vehicle. Okay, so the interior of the vehicle, a very typical Land Rover minimalist interior with a little bit of a twist. As I said, this is an ex-Australian Army vehicle. So we've got little covers here, which obviously cover up the lights so snipers don't blow your head off. And then obviously here we've got a blackout switch, which kills all the headlights and helps with illuminating the convoy lights. So basically just subtle ambient lighting. This here is for your map or map light, so you can read your map. And then we've got a dimmer here also for the gauges. This little knob here is for the center differential, which is vacuum controlled. We've got an amp meter and hour meter there too. And then we've got a different meter up here. This is the Barrett 4050 HF radio, and we thought that this would be a very fitting sort of piece of kit to fit to a ex-radio car. So for the duration of the trip, and it's sort of the communication format that works really well for us, or the platform, is HF. And this particular radio is really easy to use. You can actually use it through an app on your phone and sync in via Wi-Fi, and you can do GPS positioning, so you can basically record where you are. You can do SMS, you can do telephone calls, you can actually log in to the base station and actually access your mailbox, so if anyone's left any messages or any text messages, you can access that too. And there's a swathe of other features that you can use also, so that's been really handy. Also what we've got in here, up the back here, is one of our main sort of, I guess, and obviously one of the other key features that we've got that's absolutely essential is our fridge freezer, courtesy of Goldfields Off Road. This is an Ironman 65 litre fridge freezer, so we've got a fridge in this section, freezer in this section here. Now the great thing is we've kept all our meat in this one here, other condiments and beverages of particular varieties in this one, and we've got a 35 litre fridge in the Series 3, and that's pretty much all we've been running, and we've got enough food in there pretty much for 5 weeks. So we're sort of getting down to the bottom of it now, but working really well. Moving back out towards the vehicle, we've got the ICOM 440 UHF radio that's been in the vehicle for about, I think, about five or 6 years, and still working strong. Nice, tough, resilient radio. Anyway, we'll move to the side of the vehicle and I'll show you sort of the lifeline, or the heart of the vehicle in regards to the electronics. And this is something that's really interesting, and the craftsmanship that's actually gone into it is second to none. Rightio. So, as I said, this is the electronic heart of the vehicle. So, because we've got a 24 volt generator, and many of you are probably thinking, why not just ditch the generator, use an alternator? Well, that'd be the easy way of doing things, and it wouldn't be right by the vehicle. So, we've tried to use all the pre-existing accessories, modifications on the vehicle. So basically what we've got here is we've got 24 volts, we've then got a voltage drop device within the vehicle, and you'll have to forgive me, electronics isn't my strong suit. And basically that goes to a number of cigarette lighter sockets throughout the vehicle. Now the great thing about that is we can put in a USB adapter and then charge, obviously, camera gear, phones and all the rest through it. So it works really well. Obviously the freezer is running off this also, but other than that, and the inverter in the back, pretty much nothing else. So the vehicle really doesn't require any electronics to run itself, and it has got a 12 volt battery underneath the passenger seat. So that's pretty much everything that we've got here. So as I've mentioned before, but just to drive the point home, this was an ex-radio vehicle. It would have originally been fitted with the 77 set and then upgraded to the Raven set. And basically the antennas would have gone here. You've obviously got a couple nuts that are welded underneath here, so obviously a mounting of some kind would bolt on there. So we've kept that as sort of an inspiration to obviously make our own reiteration of the actual design. So this is obviously the antenna for the Barrett radio that I was chatting about earlier. The great thing about this actual setup is with the actual antenna itself, we can just simply unscrew it. Takes a little while, but you get there in the end. And then what you can actually do is you can split it. So you don't actually have to carry two different antennas around. So if you're going through, a bit of shrub country or stuff where there's a few low-lying branches and you still want your comms, you can basically just put a short aerial on. If you're out in the desert country and there's really nothing to worry about apart from a few, low-flying crows and all the rest, then you can just, go back to the nice long antenna. So that's certainly one advantage that it's got over other HF radios out there on the market. One of the great things about this too is obviously we've put a base plate on, and then obviously there was already a hole made to actually put all the electricity through. So we've just literally just drilled out the hole a little bit more. We've put a grommet in there, a bit of Celastic obviously to seal it up to try and make it watertight, and all's good in the world. I've got a little cubby hole here either side. This one here we actually keep all our recovery gear in, and you need a special key for it. So in here we keep all our snap straps, winch extension straps, our shackles of different varieties and ratings and all the rest. And then on the other side we keep the spare parts for the vehicle, so fuel filters, gaskets, seals, all the rest. Anyway, we'll move around to the back of the vehicle and I'll show you the setup that Damon's been using for the past couple of weeks. Again, one of the great things about keeping all the pre-existing kit on the vehicle is when you actually can get it to work and find the switch, you've got a little work light in here. And basically there would have been probably 2 or 3 blokes sitting in here, and a great deal of comfort obviously. And so we've got a clear light, and then if the mozzies are a bit bad or we need to go dark, we've got the red light. But anyway, I'll go back to the clear for this video and I'll jump down. So we've got a space case here, and then we've got a 1000 watt red arc inverter on the side here, and basically that's what Damon's been using to charge all the larger camera batteries for the Black Magic camera that he's been using, and I won't say any more because that's not my area of expertise. And obviously all the batteries for the drone also, and running his laptop in order to take all the data off the SD cards at the end of the day, arrange them perfectly as he always does, and so that way when it comes to editing we can actually get the process done relatively quickly, relatively easily. So one of the other accessories that we've got is a number 5 trailer. And the great thing about this trailer in particular that I purchased off Ben Broder, a good mate of mine, is that basically none of the trailer plugs or the trailer plug and attachment had been altered in any way. And same with the Perentie, I actually purchased that at a Frontline Machinery auction. So it's basically as it came out of the army. So this plugs straight up to the car, no problem at all. This would have originally been built, I think, in 1966, so it is of a series vintage. But basically in this we've been carrying all the extra water and fuel that we've required for the trip, mainly the fuel, and obviously sand tracks we've been keeping in here, camp table, an additional spare tyre. We've got one spare tyre underneath the Perentie, as I said, another spare tyre here, and then we've got a spare tyre on the front of the Series 3's bonnet, and basically they're pretty much all interchangeable. So that just makes it really, really easy if you're running the exact same tyre. But thanks for stopping by, and hopefully you found this video of interest. And if you are enjoying the content here at Seriously Series, then please do consider checking us out on Patreon. And if you're new to the channel, click on that subscribe button, click on that notification button too. And that way you won't miss out on one single video. Anyway, I hope to see you in our next video.